Just got off the phone with Malcolm over at Fonthill Mill Company. Malcolm and I were just talking about if he's able to build us a boardroom table down in the bullpen in the basement here at Right Choice HQ. He said that he would love to. He's a past fleeter and I'm really looking forward to it. He's gonna come by today, take a look at the space and see what we can make down there. Been speaking with Malcolm over at Fonthill Mill Company, and he's coming over to take a look at the basement, the future bullpen of Right Choice, to take a look because he's gonna be hopefully building us a boardroom table. I met Malcolm online, great guy. He's got roots from Wainfleet. He took a look at the space down in the bullpen. He's got some ideas. He was showing me some of his thoughts. I'm really looking forward to this because he's talking about making a sick table. He's a good guy. He's starting his company. I think this is going to be a great fit. At least I hope so. He's going to be coming back to us with the concept, and I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Right now, Kevin and I are just working in Right Choice HQ, and we're going over the comparative market analysis. We have not done one of these in detail yet together, but we're both discussing how Kevin does his and how I do mine, and how we can make a great one together, and how Kev will be able to do this working with sellers moving forward. The comparative market analysis, Kev, this is what I'm working on. This is what I've got it. This is our first page.
Yeah, you definitely need a new picture.
Why? What's wrong with this one?
I don't know. That's not the same person. So we just went over how we each do comparative market analysis. We do the same goals, and we want to hit the listing price dead on, because that's the most important part of listing the house, is hitting that price. And the reason we're doing this is me coming here to Right Choice. What I want to do is list houses. Listing is what I do best. It's what I enjoy doing, and it's part of the plan. So seeing what he does to get that most accurate listing price versus what I do, and working on both things to be as accurate and as good as we can be together.
We have got Greg and Mike here from Zach's Classic Contracting, and they're here to do boxing and what?
Mudding.
Boxing and mudding. The bullpen is coming along. They're getting some stuff done. We're getting closer. Really looking forward to the bullpen getting done. We finally get some beautiful rain, but it knocks out the power. I was working on comparative market analysis and multitasking some social medias. I got Kev Murphy here. As we sit in the dark, we got to work from our mobile phones. And we just got to pivot, make happenings. No more computer, but we got phones. We still got cellular internet, and we can make happenings. So the power is out at Right Choice HQ, as it is. I don't know. We're gonna find out how far in Wainfleet it's out. But what a good time for us to go to the Wainfleet Meridian Bank so I can deposit a commission check that we got. I am still adjusting from Realtor to broker of record, and in between broker of record, still handling administrative tasks as we grow. And making deposits and handling all the back end is not one of my strong suits. While out making some happenings, I've got in the back seat the Yackets. It's been a long time since things have been open. Gonna drop them off at the dry cleaners. These are getting a little dirty, get them cleaned up, so we're looking a little more spiffy, a little dapper. Now on my way to my accountants, Jeff Neal, DJB in Welland. He does a great job taking care of my books. On my way there to drop off a bunch of stuff for, I think it's for year end. It's a bunch of stuff that Jocelyn's prepared. We got it already. Gonna drop it off to him. If he's not busy, we'll say hello. If he's busy, we're just gonna drop off the paperwork, Corona style, in a Dropbox and get moving. Tonight's meeting was a pretty good meeting. It was really nice. My favorite part of today's meeting was we had Jocelyn back.
Tonight's meeting was more serious than the other ones have been. The structure of the meetings are going is getting better, so that people actually are learning and it's not just social hour.
Tonight's meeting was a good meeting. It was intense again, like they always are. Joe went over everybody's wins, their losses, and really pushed the accountability this week. Each week it seems to dial up and put some more pressure on people to succeed.
Meeting went well. For myself, this week I was able to communicate with everybody.
This meeting was, I said it last week and I'm going to say it again this week, but it was actually better than last week's meeting. My numbers and everything had increased. Last week motivated me for this week. We got more in depth with different things, got some contacts out, got some of the everyday systems figured out.
It was a little bit better than last week's meeting. I find that we're getting more in depth as each week goes on. We had the food like usual, and then when we got down to business, Joe went around the table and spoke to each of us individually again.
I love having Jocelyn at the meetings, and I love how she goes after me just like anybody else at the table at the company for making mistakes. This is key because I make mistakes like anybody else. Although I shouldn't be making them, they do happen. And there is a couple components of paperwork, administrative work, that I am not greatly skilled at. And I try my best, and I am improving, but I am not perfect at these things. And I love that Jocelyn calls me out for it because I'm not immune to being on the shit list. When things have to be done correctly, they have to be done correctly. So I think it's amazing that she will discuss this with me in front of everyone. These things are transparent. Just because I'm broker of record here doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes and that nobody should know about it. Because the mistakes I make, everybody else can learn from them so they can avoid them.
All paperwork in real estate is all about telling the world. It has to tell a story, and you should be able to go through the whole offer process when it's done and know all the pitfalls, all the bullshit that went through just by going through all the paperwork.
Right.
And if you can't, then you missed a spot somewhere.
Yeah.
My job is to find a spot so you guys don't get in trouble. I've told Joe for about 6 months now to go see Cole about receipt of funds. I had to tell Cole once. I had to tell Kevin once. Joe.
I will probably verify it with them to make sure it's right before I submit it.
No. It's a test. Come straight to me. It's hard for me to look at Joe as the owner or broker of record because he was my agent for 6 years. So as the bookkeeper, office manager, it was always my job to eventually give everybody crap if something went wrong. So for me, that separation of him being the broker of record and kind of like being my boss is kind of still surreal for me. So when I give Joe crap, it's usually because he deserves it.
Seeing the broker of record being brought up and held accountable for mistakes he's made is obviously very different, but it's something that I expect here because everything with the broker of record is different here. My first listing, I had my broker of record come shoot a video with me, which has never happened. My broker of record had a birthday suit picture last week on his birthday, which I've never had happen. So at a meeting, having a broker of record being called out for a couple things that he's done is not something that I wouldn't have expected. It's right choice. It's what we're doing here.
So this week in the meeting, Jocelyn actually called out Joe for a couple of mistakes that he's been making and has been ongoing. I personally love it. I think that this is a very good exercise to be taking, especially with the recruits here, both Jill and Brian, specifically because this proves that nobody's perfect. Joe Gonzalez, the owner of Right Choice and the head of the company, along with the broker of record, still makes mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's learning from those mistakes that is going to help you in the long run.
So one thing I like about this brokerage is that at one point at the meeting, Jocelyn actually, I don't want to say yelled, but kind of give him some trouble about some of his paperwork and things he had done. And it kind of makes me feel like I'm in the right place because it feels like he's really in the trenches with us and we're all learning together still. He's sitting at the head of the table and he's the broker of record, but he's still human.
I think it's a great idea. Even when I get called out for mistakes, it's awesome for everybody to see here that nobody's perfect and that mistakes happen, and it's what you do with those mistakes that defines what happens next.
Everything has a sequence of deadlines, of different things that make everything make sense in the long run. So for him to see that whole aspect of what it is to run a whole brokerage, it takes a bit of time. What you see as an agent in a brokerage is very different than what you see as a broker of record. So I think it's a good thing that we can bring up stuff, because it makes everybody understand that running a brokerage and being who he is, he still has to be accountable on so many different ways, and he will make mistakes just like they do. That way all the other people can see that he's approachable. He's not just the figurehead at the top of the business going, do this, do that, because I said so. He's also making mistakes. He's also learning on a daily basis, which I think helps everybody look at what they're doing and going, okay, if he can learn, so can I.